past few weeks in terms of trying to maybe bring up an impeachment vote, an inquiry vote next week. What happened politically, and what's the risk to some of the members from swing districts, Biden districts, if they would go along with this because they were resistant before?
Well, look, the impeachment inquiry is necessary because, as you know, our committees of jurisdiction, oversight, judiciary, ways and means, Chairman Comer and Jordan and Smith have done an extraordinary job following the facts on this. Remember, Article 1 of the Constitution gives the House the impeachment authority. And I've said at this podium before, next to a declaration of war, impeachment, arguably the heaviest power that the House has. Why? Because it's so serious, it's so important. In the previous couple of years, the House Democrats cheapened impeachment. They used it for partisan political purposes. They went after Donald Trump twice. I served on the impeachment defense team twice. We called those sham impeachments, snap impeachments. They were. What you're seeing right now is exactly the opposite of that. You're seeing a very deliberate investigation uncovering and following the facts, following the truth where it leads. That's what the Constitution requires the House to do. And the House Republicans have done that very methodically. So we have come to this sort of inflection point because, Chad, right now the White House is stonewalling that investigation. They're refusing to turn over key witnesses to allow them to testify as they've been subpoenaed. They're refusing to turn over thousands of documents for the National Archives. And the House has no choice, if it's going to follow its constitutional responsibility, to formally adopt an impeachment inquiry on the floor so that when the subpoenas are challenged in court, we'll be at the apex of our constitutional authority. It will be a movement, a vote of the full House, and that will allow us to continue on pace. This vote is not a vote to impeach President Biden. This is a vote to continue the inquiry of impeachment, and that's a necessary constitutional step, and I believe we'll get every vote that we can.
Though, among some of these moderates, that they're getting dragged into this, this is going to be a tough vote.
No, all the moderates in our conference understand this is not a political decision. This is a legal decision. It's a constitutional decision. And whether someone is for or against impeachment is of no import right now. We have to continue our legal responsibility, and that is solely what this vote is about.
When you released the videotapes, the video from January 6th, you talked about people withholding data to advance a partisan narrative. What do you think is incorrect about the narrative around that day, and what do you think is the accurate narrative?
We'd have to be here for a long time for me to unpack that. Look, I think the January 6th committee was a partisan exercise. They claim that it was bipartisan, but I think we all recognize that the two Republican members that served on that committee had another agenda. I think that what we got was a biased report. I think they hid some of the important evidence. And look, we want the American people to draw their own conclusions. I don't think partisan elected officials in Washington should present a narrative and expect that it should be seen as the ultimate truth on it when we know that they hid certain elements. The release of the January 6 tapes was a critical and important exercise. We want transparency. We should demand that the American people do. House Republicans trust the American people to draw their own conclusions. They should not be dictated by some narrative and accept that as fact. So they can review the tapes themselves. We're going through a methodical process of releasing them as quickly as we can. As you know, we have to blur some of the faces of persons who participated in the events of that day because we don't want them to be retaliated against and to be charged by the DOJ and to have other concerns and problems. So that's a slow process to get it done. We're working steadily on it. We've hired additional personnel to do that. And all of those tapes ultimately at the end will be out so everybody can see them and draw their own